Well, wasn't that a fun shoot? I mean, perfect weather. It's not often that happens in the UK. And my God, was I fortunate that happened on that day that we were shooting. Now, I hope you've learnt a little bit more about composition, about depth, about how to place your subject, where to place yourself. And I don't know if you noticed on the last bit there, I was actually laying on the floor. Now, sometimes you just got to go above and beyond to really sort of nail them shots. One thing that I did forget to mention in a lot of that is always try. Keep your phone upright. Always. Try not to let it bend over at a 45-degree angle. Always keep it upright. So that's another top tip for you, and it will really help you out in, really getting some of them cool professional shots. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about now is editing. So we took these great photos where we was out on that wicked location, but now we need to edit them. Okay, so I use an app called Lightroom. It's a free app. You don't have to pay for it. Doesn't matter what it tells you when you download it. You honestly do not need to pay for this. This is all free. Or you can just use your onboard camera editing app as well. But I like to use Lightroom. Just gives you a little bit more flexibility. And if you do want to pay for it, there's so many hidden features in there as well. You can actually select the sky, you can select the subject, and you can just locally focus on editing them bits. Okay, so let's delve in to Lightroom. We're just going to edit a couple of the photos just so that you can get a bit of an idea of what I do or how I do it. But listen, no one can tell you how to edit or how to take photos. That's down to you. That's all down to personal preference. I'm only just here to guide you and maybe give you the tools, but find your own style. Now, when you open up the Lightroom app, you should really be able to see what's in your camera roll. You need to give the app access to everything that you need in your camera roll. It doesn't take any of your details. It doesn't take anything like that. Literally, you need to give it access to the camera roll. Okay, so once you open that up, you will see there's the photos that we took with Hedy out at a beautiful location. Now, what I want to do is I just want to pick on a couple of these photos just to make them pop and just show you what I do. Okay? So, first one I want to go to is this one here. This is a wonderful photo, I must say. There's so much depth, the leading lines, the composition, everything on this photo, I think is pretty bang on. Now, I keep talking about composition. Composition, again, is just where you place stuff. It's where you put it in the photo. Now, luckily, when we were taking the photos, we had the grid turned on, so we could see where the subject was going to be in the picture. It's not slap bang in the middle. It was a little bit just off to the side. Call that in the rule of third. Now, first thing I want to draw your attention to down the bottom here is all the different functions that you've got. So you've got auto, light, color, blur, effects, detail. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't use a lot of these because my editing's very simple and I don't need to do tons of stuff. I try and work as hard as I can when I'm actually on a shoot to, basically make everything okay. So this bit gets cut down. I don't really need to do tons of editing. When you're doing it as quick and fast paced for socials, you don't want to be doing this. This is faff. This is something that you don't want to be doing tons of. So because of that, they give you an auto button. Now, don't think you're cheating by using this button at all. It saves you a lot of time. And 9 times out of 10, it will nail it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and push the auto button. See what that's done straight away? Like, unbelievable. So good. I'll be perfectly honest, I wouldn't actually change a lot of that. Now, to save a photo from Lightroom, what we want to do is up the top here, you've got like the universal symbol for exporting. So we're just going to tap that up the top. And at the very top of everything there, it just says save copy to device. You don't need to change any settings or anything whatsoever. Just save copy to device. That will now end up in your photo camera roll. Okay, up the top here, there's just a little arrow. So we're just going to go backwards there. And we're going to pick on another photo. Now, I quite like the ones where Hedy was walking towards the camera when the building was behind. Okay, this time I'm not going to do auto. I'm just going to show you how the rest of the app works. So first one we're going to tap on is light. So let's just tap on light and you get a load of slide bars that come up. If you just drag your thumb up on the screen, you can actually access a lot of them slide bars there. Now, what we tend to do is sort of start from the top and work down. So exposure, won't really touch that much, to be honest. Contrast, maybe just turn that down a little bit. Turning contrast down is quite complementary to skin tones. The two main ones out of all these light sliders are your highlights and your shadows. Now, people call me very old school for the way that I edit, but it works for us. Is I work on a rule of turning your highlights down and your shadows up. Now, when I say turn things down and turn things up, I don't mean in a dynamic way. You do it very slight and just sort of see what works for the picture. So we're going to slide these highlights down slightly to probably about there, and maybe just turn the shadows up a little bit. There we go. Whites usually work well if you've blown a bit of the picture out. So when I say blow out, I mean it's been like slightly overexposed. Good thing about iPhones is they're pretty bang on when you take the photo. And blacks. I would turn the blacks down just a little bit. It just makes the colours a bit more rich. So blacks down a little bit. You can see what's happening there. It's becoming a bit more of a rich picture. Next one I want to draw your attention to is colour. So down the bottom here, let's just whip over to colour. Now this is your white balance, so how the photo's been shot. And basically colour sets a tone for the picture. So if you ever heard of like a warm picture or a cold picture. Now, if you watch any sort of dramas on TV, you watch how they flip from one thing to the other. If we're going back like in time to a memory, or it's very comforting or very nice and loving, they will use warm tones for it. Yeah, if it's very dramatic and it's very, I don't know, there's been a murder or, you know, there's a lot of action going on, it will have a cold tone to it. So it sets the mood for the picture. Now, because it's very industrial where we were shooting and it was a really nice sunny day, I would maybe just turn the temperature up a little bit to make it just that little bit more warmer. Now, if you want to see how much of a difference you're making to the photo, just hold your thumb down on top of the photo and you'll be able to see your before and after, just like this. There's your before, there's the after. There's the before, there's the after. So you can see where the edits are going. Next one I would come over to is effects. So effects gives you some sort of, I don't want to say it's sharpening, but it's like sharpening. It gives you a bit more texture to the photo. Clarity is basically like high definition. So if you turn that right up, you will see what happens with clarity. And if you turn it down, you can see you can make it softer, more dreamy. Texture does basically the same, but not as dynamic. And dehazing takes a lot of contrast or adds contrast to a photo. So you can make it more richer or not. I tend to leave that one where it is. Clarity, I will leave where it is. Texture, maybe just turn it up slightly. Now along the top, you've got effects, vignette and grain. So vignetting, I do use occasionally depending on the photo. Product, it works well for that. But basically what it does, it puts like a dark or light ring around the photo, which draws your eye more to the subject. So let me just show you. Come this way, you can make it darker. Come this way, you can make it lighter. You can maybe just add a little bit to that just so we're more drawn in to the photo. And that pretty much is that. Because of the way that the photo's been taken, we actually need Hedy in the middle of this one. You remember in the other one I was talking about symmetry. This is more of a symmetry photo. Okay, so let's just download this one to our camera roll in the same process as what we did before. And then let's just go back and let's pick another photo for us to play with. How about this one here? Okay, so we're going to come back to the light panel. Now exposure looks pretty good. It's pretty rich in colour, so I might turn the contrast down a bit. You can see how soft the heading now looks. Highlights, turn down slightly. Shadows, I would just turn up. Blacks, just make it that slight bit more richer. Come into colour, just turn the temperature up slightly. There we go. Now, I want to talk to you about composition and rule of thirds again and again. So if you feel like you haven't got it already when you shot the photo, doesn't matter, because in the edit, you can then also do it with that. So down here, very, very bottom, you see you got one tab, which is for presets. Now, because I pay, it gives you like a set of AI presets. We don't want them. The next one along is cropping. Now look, if I drag my finger, I can see our grid turns up there. That grid is super important, like what I said when we was actually out shooting. You can use this grid to position your subject where you need it to be. So when you get them cross-reference grid lines, I can't speak. When you get them cross-reference grid lines, you will see that's where you need to be putting your point of interest. So let me show you in the edit here. Let's just, from the very top right-hand corner, let's just drag that down. So head is now in the third. Now I just want to move the picture over so that she is in that point of interest. Let me just tick it. See what's happening now. Now she's straight into a third of the photo. Simple. Very, very simple. Now we're just going to download that, save copy to device. Now if we go into our camera roll, here we go. These will be the photos that we have just edited. Now I think they look absolutely fab. I hope that covers most of what you need to know for portraiture photography, and we will be adding tons more modules to this whole set. So you guys that have got the lifetime access, you'll be able to access all these modules that we're doing. So stay tuned for the next one. I hope you will have a lovely time, and remember, clean your lens.